Welcome to this edition of Sac News in Focus. I'm Katie Licari. My guest today spent 5 years honing his skills in photography and broadcast journalism here at Santa Ana College. Rudy Garcia joins me today to look back at his time here and how it's changed his life since graduation. Welcome, Rudy.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be back.
Yeah. So I just was wondering if you could start by telling us how you ended up coming to SAC in the first place.
Sure. So I've wanted to work in news or some type of video production like forever. But, you know, I had to take a little bit of a detour and had to be an engineer first. But I've wanted to do it forever. And so I applied for NBC Sports, their technical apprentice program, and I ended up getting rejected after the second phone interview because I didn't have anything formal on my record. Even though I could do a bunch of things, they wanted something formal. And so I said, well, okay. And I decided to come to Santa Ana College because I found out that they had a good broadcast program, and there were it was like a lot of hands-on type learning, and that's pretty much like why I decided to come here. It started off in 2012, and kind of been working away and hacking away at it kind of ever since. Mm-hmm. But it was really like that getting rejected, saying like, no, you have nothing formal, that brought me back to here. And I just thought it was a good value.
And so how did you learn how to produce, like, you know, your industry quality videos? Was it here? Was it freelancing? How did you train yourself?
Sure. So it was kind of a combination of both. I would say here at SAC, you kind of learn a lot of like the technical things, and then I was always trying to watch news because I wanted to work in it. So I would try to see how they would frame stuff, and I would try to copy what they would do, especially for interviews. You know, I always try to like get the framing right. But here, they taught me like lighting, sound, exposure, kind of like the technical elements to really make a good picture. So yeah, like I guess you can say here it's more on the technical side of things, and you know, some of the framing as well, but most of my framing I feel like I learned from watching news, and a lot of it.
So what were your favorite packages that you worked on here?
Sure. There were a lot. It's been over 5 years, right? But I think my two favorite are on my demo reel, like the demo reel that I produced here at SAC, and that was a house fire that happened in Santa Ana. And I really liked that one because that one was something that you would actually experience and use. You'd hear a call on the scanner, you'd go check it out, and then you'd shoot video and report. Second one is also on my demo reel. It was called #lunchbag. And so there's a group of people that every month they will go to the 4th Street Market and prepare lunch bags for the homeless and write a note with it, and then they'll actually go hand them out. And I thought with that story, it was just everything worked together. I shot it well, my interviews were good, and my framing was good, and it just really like came together. A few of my other packages that I have on an editing demo reel were with some of the concerts that the music department put on, and that was fun to edit just because of all of the sound that you can use. Mm-hmm. So I think I'd say those were my top maybe 3 or 4 favorite packages to work on. Yeah.
And what was your favorite class while you were here?
Favorite class? Oh, so many. I think starting off, it was probably just like the basic camera class, and you know, just because I started to really get into it again. And then towards the end, it was definitely the news class, because that's where everything gets combined. You're putting all your skills together. You're doing everything that you've learned up until that point. And so I'd say the news class is probably my absolute favorite, and it's my absolute favorite for a number of reasons. A, you're doing everything, and you have a chance to do everything. And then B, it gives you really like a lot of real world experience without actually touching the real world. So you can actually practice and fail and mess up without having to worry about getting fired or getting chewed out by your news director or producer or anything like that. So I think that's probably been my favorite so far.
So it provided like a safe space to learn.
Safe space to practice.
Practice,
and
yeah.
mess up, yeah.
Yeah. And so after the break, we are going to, still to come on Sac News in Focus, we'll talk with Rudy about where his career has taken him since leaving college.
My name is Kevin. I'm a military veteran returning to school, and I'm a student at Santa Ana College. I went to an art school in Los Angeles for 2 years. I realized things were getting pricey and expensive. I was tired of hearing my parents talk about the financial issues we have. At the same time, I also had a desire ever since I was a little kid to join the military. So I enlisted in the United States Air Force for 4.5 years, and immediately at the same time I got out of the military, I got hired at Disney. I chose online classes because I'm able to have time management with my priorities outside of school and also with school. I'm able to control my life. My advice for a student thinking about taking online classes is you got to be on top of your game. You have to make sure you have time to do your online classes. It might be easy to forget that you have homework due and quizzes to take. So you just definitely got to be on top of it. I would say online classes are just the same type of difficulty as face-to-face class. Do the coursework, read the chapters, take the quiz. You still have deadlines just like actual classes. It's been a year and I'm able to speed up the process where I'm going to be getting my associate's degree this December and we'll be transferring for spring. So online classes definitely helps me reach my end goal faster.
Welcome back to Sac News in Focus. We've been speaking with Rudy Garcia about his time here at Sac and how it helped him get to where he is today. So welcome back, Rudy. And so I was just wondering what exactly you do out in Bakersfield and how you got your job.
Okay, so let's start first with how I got the job. So I think the demo reel that you guys played earlier, I brought that to a journalism conference, and a really big one. It's called the Excellence in Journalism Conference, and it happens every year in September. And before that, I'd gone to like a bunch of mini job conferences, so I got feedback on what I was doing right and wrong and kind of tweaked it accordingly, if I agreed or not, because sometimes you don't. But I got all my demo reels ready, and I attended this Excellence in Journalism conference saying, okay, I'm either going to get a job or I'm going to have a good lead for a job. And at that conference, I ended up getting 3 offers, pretty much like handed to me. And then one of them happened to be in Bakersfield. And I said, I'm stupid if I don't take this. And, because it's still close enough to everything where I can drive and I can still do a lot of things out there. And the other reason I took the job in Bakersfield was because the other stations that I was looking to get hired on, their work wasn't at the quality that Sac put my work at. I guess I'm not explaining that correctly, but I saw things from other stations where things weren't lit well, things didn't sound good, and I was already kind of past that. Whereas I saw the work from Bakersfield at my station, and it was really good. And then the second part of your question, in terms of what I do, my official title is news photographer, or photographer, depending on how you want to phrase it. But I shoot video every day. I don't get to edit as much as I would like because I'm just so busy shooting. And I shoot everything from VOs, so voiceovers, to VOSOTs, where you're actually having to interview people. And then sometimes I'll shoot packages for reporters as well. And so that's what I do. I have a broadcast grade shoulder mounted camera. Can get pretty heavy. Mm-hmm. And that's what I do every day. I've shot all kinds of things, and within the course of a day, it's amazing what I can shoot. I can shoot anything from car accident where someone died, all the way up to someone receiving an award, sports. It's been a whole gamut of stuff.
And so you just led into one of my follow-up questions. What has been your favorite thing to cover in the broadcast news world?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so far...
Do you have any crazy stories?
Yeah, I do. This is actually on some of the clips that I've left with you guys, but I wasn't supposed to work, and they called me and they said, "Hey, Rudy, we want you to come in early tomorrow at 5 a.m. to shoot a gang raid story." And I was like, okay. And they said, "Yep, so we'd like you to come in if you want to do it, come in." And so I come in, and I'm working with a reporter, and we're listening to the scanner, and we're trying to figure out where the police are actually going to stage, because it's a gang raid. And so we're like, well, the reporter was real sharp and said, they're going to stage somewhere here. And sure enough, we were waiting out there. 4:35 in the morning, we see these unmarked police cars pull up. Then we start seeing like armored cars come in, and we're like, oh crap, this is awesome. I was like, well, Olivia, give me the camera. I need to shoot this. And so at first we're shooting, from inside the car. And then our news director calls us. He's like, nah, I want to see this stuff on TV. So I hop out. Olivia hops out and says, like, hey guys, we're shooting. You're not live. We're shooting this to be broadcast later. So all these police officers are in their tactical gear. It's like the early morning. The sun hasn't even come up yet. They're strapping in. They're getting their guns set. And then there's one shot where they were lining up to load their weapons. And I was like, Olivia, I got to get this shot. And I was running to get in front of them. And a sergeant stops me. And he says, excuse me, sir, we're loading our weapons right now. Can you, back up a little bit? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Sorry, Sarge. And then I looked at my reporter, and she looked at me like, okay, yeah, this kid's pretty good. And so I ended up getting a shot from the back, but it still looked pretty cool with them lining up and actually loading their weapons. And that, by far, has probably been my favorite experience and thing to shoot so far. Mm-hmm. Other things that I've shot, I got to go to a dispatch center. And if you know me, I'm a total scanner freak and scanner head. And so I got to interview a dispatcher that helped deliver a baby on a highway. And that was so cool, just the way that I got to frame it, and you got to see the other dispatchers working, and that was a pretty cool night as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So those are probably my two favorite things that I can think of right now. Yeah.
Oh, well, what about the baby on New Year's Eve?
Oh, sure. So yeah, this is maybe something that we should talk about too. Is you never know where your stories are going to end up, and so. These babies that were born, one was born in 2017, and the other one was born 18 minutes later in 2018. So they were...
And they were twins, right?
They were twins, yep. Mm-hmm. And I got to go shoot that as well. I worked with an awesome reporter, and that story ended up getting, I think, some national attention. Yeah, so that was pretty cool to have your story get some national attention. Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. So we have that as well. I think just recently it was Girl Scout Cookie Weekend or Girl Scout Weekend, something like that. And I got to shoot Girl Scouts selling cookies, and then also businesses that were using Girl Scout cookies in their cupcakes or cookies or recipes. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So those have been probably my favorites, and you just shoot so much that something has to really stick out for you to kind of really remember.
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming in, Rudy. And that'll wrap up this week's edition of Sac News in Focus. We'd like to extend a gracious thank you to our guest, Rudy Garcia. And be sure to catch our regular edition of Sac News. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. We'll see you next time.